All right, so welcome back to the Zoom room for the second part of today's session. Bit of a break there, but it's nice to see you again, John and Elaine. So, yeah, let's jump in. We're going to do the psychotherapy purpose, processes, and practices supplement again, and that is we're on section 2.7 called the ideal patient therapist relationship. So let me just share my screen. Share screen. Okay, that one. All right, so ideal patient therapist relationship, which talks about patient therapist relationship and how that should ideally work, which is part of the whole psychotherapy explanation on psychotherapy, which is contained in this psychotherapy purpose, processes, and practices supplement to the course, which is written in the years after the course is published. A few years after the course is published, Helen kind of downloaded this and scribed it in the same way as she scribed the course. So it's a supplement to the course, although it hasn't been. In I think the latest edition, it's incorporated into the latest version of the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. They've included this supplement, and there's also the Song of Prayer as a supplement. Okay, so Elaine, if you can read that.
Yeah. Who then?
For this, I'll just translate as you go. It's just not too much guide.
Okay. Yeah. Who then is the therapist and who is the patient? In the end, everyone is both. He who needs healing must heal. Physician, heal thyself. Sorry? Who else is there to heal? And who else is in need of healing? Each patient who comes to a therapist offers him a chance to heal himself. He is therefore his therapist, and every therapist must learn to heal from each patient who comes to him. He thus becomes his patient. Pure formless awareness, perfect love, does not know of separation. What he does know is only that he is one extension.
It has one extension.
He has one extension.
It has extension.
His knowledge is reflected in the ideal patient-therapist relationship. Pure formless awareness, perfect love, comes to him who calls, and in him he recognizes himself.
In this awareness, we recognize ourselves, I would say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any thoughts on this one?
Well, they're both equal. They're both patient and therapist. And the patient will be teaching the therapist and vice versa. So this pure formless awareness knows of the separation. So his knowledge is reflected in the ideal patient-therapist relationship. So pure formless awareness, perfect love, comes to him who calls. And in him, he recognizes himself. So it's just a two-way relationship. of therapist and patient teaching each other how to come to this pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Saying, healer, heal thyself. So the physician, heal thyself. Who else is there to heal? There's really only one of us. The patient and therapist are really just part of the one extension. And so it's that whole extension of the mind that is healing. So that looks like two individual minds in a patient-therapist relationship, but actually it's one mind, aspects of one mind. I think they are fragmented and separate, healing themselves in and through the patient-therapist relationship. So it's part of them in the correct sense. If psychotherapy is done correctly, it's part of the environment process. And helps both patient and therapist to come to know who they really are in and through that relationship. And as he's saying, everyone is both the therapist and the patient. Because we all need to heal our minds. We wouldn't be here if there was not healing required. So we all need to heal our minds. So I think the humility of the therapist, the truly awakened therapists, know that they are healing themselves, and that the psychotherapy is ready for them, and primarily, and then their patients benefit from their own understanding, their own shifts that happen. The patient is benefited by that and heals accordingly. But it's primarily about, everything's just their projection. I'm really here to heal myself. If I do that, so my patients are then the projections of my own mind that has gone wrong. They show me the ego mind, my own ego mind, and give me an opportunity to let go of it. So the advanced therapist, that's the way they perceive it. And in the letting go of it in their own mind, they then can facilitate that same letting go in their patients, because they then become the example, and the patient can feed off that.
Solid payments, and I can't find them.
Okay, so any other thoughts on number one?
It's clear, yeah.
So John, if you could read number two for us, kindly. Make it a bit bigger. Would that help?
Yeah, probably. Think carefully, teacher and therapist, for whom you pray, and who is in need of healing. For therapy is prayer, and healing is its aim and its result. What is prayer except the joining of minds in a relationship in which the extension of pure formless awareness can enter? This is his home, into which psychotherapy invites him. What is symptom cure when another is always there to choose? But once Christ enters in, what choice is there? But once the extension of pure formless awareness was the true
Christ
self.
is the true self. Once the awareness of your true self enters your mind, that's what it's saying.
But once the awareness of your true self enters in, what choice is there except to have it stay? There is no need for more than this, for it is everything. Healing is here, and happiness and peace. These are the symptoms of the ideal patient-therapist relationship, replacing those with which the patient came to ask for help.
Okay, so what's the summary there? What's it saying?
It's saying that in the therapist-patient relationship, it's like prayer, where it's two minds joining together in a unique way, along with spirit, which which heals whatever's going on.
Mhm. So the true self is the one self that both patient and therapist identify with. Or we actually the same self. If that's not happening, then healing is not happening. There has to be a unification of the mind, and then that happens in Christ or the true self. So when people talk about Jesus saves them, they don't understand that it's really the Christ, the true self, that saves them. And Yeshua just demonstrated it's an example of someone who lived by the true self. But he himself, as a person, can't do anything. It's your acceptance of the true self that he accepted for himself and lived so purely that will save you. So healing is in the Christ. If you recall, maybe I'll just bring this up briefly. Where's that? In this Holy Trinity. That's the level, that's where the healing takes place, the true self, Christ. In pure formless awareness, you're already healed. There's no healing there. It's the final end destination. That's always been true. But in the true self, you are now healed in your mind because you understand that you're not separate, that you're part of this one self we call the Christ or the Son of God or the extension of perfect love. When patient and therapist unite in that true self, they both understand that they are the same self, then you could say healing's occurred. So the misperception that they're separate has been healed, true perception has come, Christ's vision, the miracle or the correction has happened, and the letting go of the separate self. Part of the problem, I think, with most psychotherapy is that the healers themselves don't know this. So the psychotherapists don't know about Christ and the true self. And so if they don't know that that's the truth, how can they teach their students that? And so then, as Yeshua says at some point in the text, he says, well, nothing really happens in psychotherapy most of the time because the therapist doesn't know anything about the true self and is trying to heal within the ego structure, the ego construct. So trying to heal the mind and still keep the self-concept that has put the world in place, all of this stuff, people, things, and places, events, and circumstances and situations in time and space. That is a projection of the ego mind. So that can't heal it within its domain. You have to transcend it, and that's what the diagram shows. You have to rise above it into the awareness of the true self together as one self, one true self. So that's any healing relationship. That's what should happen to facilitate the healing, which is what he's pointing out to. Okay, so happy with number 2?
Yeah.
Number 3, Elaine?
The process that takes place in this relationship is actually one which the therapist in his heart tells the patient that all his sins have been forgiven him along with his own. What could be the difference between healing and forgiveness? Only true self forgives, knowing its sinlessness.
Innocence.
Oh, innocence, yes. His
Oh,
vision
trust.
heals, or its vision heals perception, and sickness disappears. Nor will it return again, once its cause has been removed. This, however, needs the help of a very advanced therapist capable of joining with the patient in a holy relationship. Yeah, holy, anything.
Yeah, holy is innocent, pure or innocent relationship.
Innocent relationship in which all sense of separation finally is overcome. So it's all about forgiveness. Therapist is teaching the patient forgiveness along with their own. Both, need to do the healing and forgiveness together.
Mhm.
And then this is when the true self forgives, knowing its innocence. So once its vision heals perception, then all sicknesses disappear and will never return again. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Very nice. This is why Christ saves. They say Jesus saves. What they actually mean is Christ saves. Then if you understand that Christ is just your true self, then it makes a whole lot of sense. It's not about a person called Jesus who will save you. It's about the true self that he represented, that he accepted for himself. Your own true self. That's what will save you. That makes a whole lot more sense, doesn't it?
Mm.
Than one individual being able to save you. So he's talking about the complete letting go, the ego, and interesting. You watch The Chosen.
Some of it, yes,
Yeshua
not
would
all of
always
it.
start. And when he did his miracles, he would say to people, "Your sins are forgiven."
Mm.
If you watched it, that's recorded in the Bible as well. Your sins are forgiven you, and so because he knew that the problem is the idea of sin. Sin means you're guilty. It means you deserve punishment, and the sickness was a result of that thought system. It was there to punish the person who was sick for their apparent imagined sin in their own mind. So he knew that when you actually released them from that sense of sin, and because they believed he was the Messiah, he had the power to do that. They gave him that power. So this guy's very special, and he is, the Son of God, representative of God on earth, so he can forgive my sins. So now I feel relieved, and I can actually let them go. And when they let them go, then their own shift, internal shift and change in belief is what made them well. And Yeshua even said that. He said, "Your faith has made you well. I haven't done anything." And because once it's gone, as you say. This needs to help with very advanced therapists capable of joining with the patient to the holy relationship, all sense of separation finally is overcome. So the true therapist joins with the patient and merges with it, becomes one with them. Now, as I said, most therapists aren't at that level themselves to understand that they already have no separate self, and their only purpose in life is to join, to let go of their own sense of separation and join with everyone. So that would include all of their patients. Most don't know that, so that's why it's quite rare for the full healing, this kind of healing, to happen in the psychotherapeutic relationship. Okay. Any other thoughts on number 3?
No, I think that's fine, actually.
Number 4, John?
For this, one thing and one thing only is required. The therapist in no way confuses himself with God. The therapist in no way confuses himself with the pure formless awareness, the perfect love. All unhealed healers make this fundamental confusion in one form or another because they must regard themselves as self-created rather than created by pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah. Good translation.
This confusion is rarely, if ever, in awareness, or the unhealed healer would instantly become a teacher of pure formless awareness of perfect love, devoting his life to the function of true healing. Before he reached this point, he thought he was in charge. of the therapeutic process and was therefore responsible for its outcome. His patient's errors thus became his own failures, and guilt became the cover, dark and strong, for what should be the wholeness of the extension of pure forms. Guilt is inevitable in those who use their judgment in making their decisions. Guilt is impossible in those through whom the
What the Holy Spirit is.
The messenger of
Remembrance of perfect love.
the remembrance of perfect speaks. Whom the remembrance of perfect love speaks.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
So he's saying here that the therapist must not confuse, if the therapist thinks that he is doing the healing, he will fail. But if he is aligned with spirit, then it will work.
Yeah, so as he said, before he reached this point, he thought he was in charge of the therapeutic process, therefore responsible for its outcome, which puts a lot of pressure on the therapist. Thus, the patient's errors thus become his own failures, guilt becomes cover, dark and strong for what should be the pure formless awareness of the true self. And this explains why Yeshua was so successful in his healing, because he didn't have this. Imagine if he'd been like, well, I'm responsible for the outcome, I need to do a miracle. He would never have done that. The pressure would have been too much. But he just gave it all to God and said, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm just trusting this power. Okay, so any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's fine.
Charge, the spirit is in charge, and the true therapist knows that. Summary of that paragraph. So number 5, passing guilt.
The passing of guilt is the true aim of therapy and the obvious aim of forgiveness or letting go. In this, their oneness can be clearly seen. Yet who could experience the end of guilt who feels responsible for his brother in the role of guide for him? Such a function presupposes a knowledge that no one here can have, a certainty of past, present, and future, and of all the effects that may occur in them. Only from the omniscient,
Is okay.
Omniscient point of view would such a role be possible. Yet no perception is omniscient, nor is the tiny self of one alone against the universe able to assume he has such wisdom, except in madness. That many therapists are mad is obvious. No unhealed healer can be wholly sane.
Okay.
So,
What's he saying in there?
it's about the therapy being there to pass for the passing of guilt, and the aim is to let go into this oneness. So they want to experience the end of guilt for their brother and themselves, their companion. And So nobody can have a certainty of past, present, or future, and all of the effects that may occur in them. So, yeah.
What does he mean by passing of guilt, though, at the beginning? Because it's a bit of a,
Mhm.
it's an unusual way of putting it, isn't it? Passing of guilt.
Passing of guilt. Well, I think he means to let it go of guilt, passing
Yeah.
away,
Yeah,
disappearance. You know, there's other ways of saying that.
yeah. Sorry, Elaine.
Haven't had a chance to do a translation.
No.
We're sort of halfway through it now, so we'll do the translation next year. What's he saying? I mean, in essence, there, he's saying that the end of guilt is what it's all about, and then but the end of anyone who feels responsible for their brother, the companion, the guy, what of guide for him, can't experience the end of guilt because this function presupposes knowledge that no one can really have. If you're responsible, you're saying, well, I know everything, I know past, present, future, and of course, as humans, we don't know that. Only from this omniscient point of view would such a role be possible. Yeah, and then he points out, but no perception is omniscient, because perception is by definition specific. I perceive this object, person, place, thing in this location, in time and space. That's perception. And even if I'm just thinking about it, it's a finite, concrete thought. It's not infinite and unlimited. So then he concludes by saying many therapists are mad. This is obvious. No unhealed here can be wholly sane. So his spelling out there, probably not something a lot of psychotherapists would want to hear, is it? Because he's telling them they're mad. And they unhealed themselves, and maybe the psychotherapy is for them. And if your ego is involved in the psychotherapy, you don't want to hear that because you think that you're actually quite a good therapist and you're somehow better than your patients and you're sane. And he's saying, no, actually, you're also insane. Perhaps not quite as insane as your patients, but there's also an insanity lurking. All right. So, any other thoughts on number 5?
Yeah.
no, I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Yet it is as insane not to accept a function pure formless awareness of perfect love has given you as to invent one. He has not. Advanced therapist in no way can ever doubt the power that is in him, nor does he doubt its source. He understands all power in earth and heaven belong to him because of who he is. And he is this because of his creator, whose love is in him and who cannot fail.
Remember, creator is source.
Oh, sorry, a big bad source.
Hmm.
Think what this means. He has the gifts of pure formless awareness, of perfect love himself to give away. His patients are its saints who call upon his sanctity to make it theirs. And as he gives it to them, they behold the extension of pure formless awareness, shining face, as it looks back at them.
The Christ is the true self. So they behold the true selves, and we translate face as identity. So it's the identity of this true self looks back at them. So they call upon his sanctity to make it theirs. So the true psychotherapist would be a spiritual teacher, an advanced spiritual teacher, who understands that they are the one self and helps their patients through the process of psychotherapy, which would involve letting go of the identification of the false self. They are healed through that process. And they would both agree to that. The holy relationship would be both participating willingly in that process. It won't start like that. When the patient comes to the psychotherapist, then often they're just wanting a quick fix. They might be very resistant. And the psychotherapist's job is to break down that resistance and help them to perceive the truth that they already want. Okay, any other thoughts on that one?
No, that's good.
Shining face as it looks back at them. Okay, so the number 7.
The insane thinking they are pure formless awareness of perfect love are not afraid to offer weakness to the pure formless awareness of perfect love's extension. But what they see in him, because of this, they fear indeed. The unhealed healer cannot but be fearful of his patients and suspect them all of the treachery he sees in him. He tries to heal, and thus at times he may, but he will not succeed except to some extent and for a little while. He does not see the Christ in him. True self in him who calls. What answer can he give to one who seems to be a stranger, alien to the truth and poor in wisdom, without the God who must be forgiven him or it? Behold your pure formless awareness of perfect love in him, for what you see will be your answer.
What's he saying in that one?
Well, an unhealed healer cannot be fearful of his patients or suspect any treachery. And he may try to heal, but then it can fail at times as well. So it's all got to come from the pure formless awareness of perfect love rather than the separate therapist. So he doesn't actually see the true self in it who calls. So it's, so it's really the answer can be given to one who seems to be a stranger, poor in wisdom, without the pure formless awareness. So if you behold in your pure formless awareness, for what you see will be your answer.
You see the true self in the patient. And in that, and you really see that, then you must identify with it yourself. Hold your God in him. So behold your own awareness, your own true nature in the other person. For what you see will be your answer. That is your own true self, which you are perceiving. And so that's the holy relationship. When you really see the other person as the Christ, the one self that is you, then the healing has happened because there's no sense of separation. That's what he's pointing to here. But the unhealed healer doesn't know that. The unhealed healer cannot but be fearful. So the unhealed healer can only be fearful of its patients. I'll translate it actually. It's insane thinking they are pure formless awareness of perfect love, or not afraid to offer weakness to perfect love's extension. What they see in it, because of this, they fear indeed. The unhealed healer can only be fearful of his patients and suspect them of the treachery that he sees inside in himself. So you perceive others as you are. He tries to heal, and so at times he may, but he will not succeed except to some extent for a little while. He does not see the true self in him who calls. What answer can he give to one who seems to be a stranger, alien to the truth and poor in wisdom? Without the God is the belief who must be given him. Behold, my pure formless awareness of perfect love in my brother, for what I see will be rewarded. So really you just see in the other yourself, and that's the true healing that the psychotherapeutic relationships is designed to bring about. Okay, so is that clear?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so number 8.
Think what the joining of two brothers really means, and then forget the world and all its little triumphs and its dreams of death. The same are one, and nothing now can be remembered of the words of the world of guilt. A room becomes a temple, and the street a stream of stars that brushes lightly past all sickly dreams. Healing is done, for what is perfect needs no healing, and what remains to be forgiven where there is no sin. So he's asking us here to really take on and understand the power of two brothers joining and the healing that can bring about when the true self is present.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of the psychotherapeutic relationship. So it becomes a holy relationship, and the two people find themselves in that relationship. So that includes the therapist. The therapist is not aware of that, then they're not a true healer. Healing is done, for what is perfect needs no healing, what remains to be forgiven where there is no sin. So if you really see the other person as one with you, and there is no sin to mar that, no false ideas, then there's nothing else to be done. Healing is done. You've recognized that you are one. That person. If you understand that you're one with one person, you can generalize that, can't you? So in one relationship lies the healing of all relationships. If you're one with one person, then you must be one with others, because what makes that person so special? Nothing really. So because they're all the same. So this is what psychotherapy is really about. It's actually nothing more at its highest level than the teachings of the Course on forgiveness and holy relationships. It just happens in the psychotherapeutic context. So that's why this is a supplement. It's just helpful maybe for a therapist or someone who's going to psychotherapy, a patient, to read this and understand psychotherapy now within the context of A Course in Miracles. But it's actually all the same in the end.
That's very good.
Is
Thank
what
you,
happens.
John. Thank you, John. I'm
Yeah.
going to pop off now.
You got to go. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're nearly done. Thanks for joining, John. So
Yeah. Thanks, Elaine.
I'm flying to SA tomorrow, so we'll do a session maybe on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday after.
Okay. Safe
All right, I'll
journey.
let you know. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye then.
All right. Namaste. Bye, John. Okay. So Elaine, last paragraph, and then just a quick summary of this, and then we're done with this section. So if you can read number 9. Elaine, are you still there?
Yep. Be thankful, therapist, that you can see such things as this. If you can, but understand your proper role. But if you fail
Only.
in it,
The best way of translating but is only, so you only understand, because the but is a bit okay. So anyway, you read it. I'll do the I'll
Yeah.
read it again in the translated version.
yeah, only if you fail in this, you have denied the pure formless awareness, perfect love created you, and so you will not know you are his extension. Who is your
Its
companion?
extension.
His extension. Who is your companion?
It's its extension, because it's
Oh,
not,
yeah,
there's no gender. No.
yeah. Who is your brother now? What saint can come to take you home with him? You lost the way, and can you now expect to see in him an answer that you have refused to give? Heal and be healed. There is no other choice of pathways that can ever lead to peace. Oh, let your patient in, for he has come to you from pure formless awareness, perfect love. Is not his holiness enough to wake your memory of it?
Yeah, and we translate holiness. So I'll translate it. So we go,
Mhm.
I'll read it from the top. Be thankful, therapist, that you can perceive such things as this if you only understand your proper role. But if you fail in this, you have denied that pure formless awareness of perfect love extends you, and so you will not know that you are its extension. Obviously, if you've denied it, how can you know it? Who is your companion now? What saint can come to take you home with him? You lost the way. Can you now expect to perceive in him an answer that you have refused to give? Heal and be healed. There is no other choice of pathways that can ever lead to peace. Oh, let your patient in, for he has come to you from perfect love. Is not his formless awareness of perfect love enough to wake your memory of it? So what's he saying in this one? It's just it's a call to awaken for the psychotherapist, to awaken to the truth of who the psychotherapist is through the relationship with the patient.
Mhm.
So when you can really see the holiness, the innocence, purity of the patient through all of the gunk, that you inevitably have to deal with in psychotherapy, because there's always issues. Someone wouldn't be going to psychotherapy if they didn't have issues. But to see beyond that, the purity of who that person really is as the true self or the Christ, then is the healing of that therapist's mind. And so both healer and the healed become healed in the proper psychotherapeutic relationship. So that's the ideal patient. If you were going to describe it, Elaine, how would you then describe the ideal relationship between the therapist and the patient in psychotherapy?
So, well, the ideal relation is that they're both in their true self. So then that's when healing can come about for both of them.
They remain rooted in that true self.
Yeah.
And they relate from that true self. And that's not going to happen straight away, but the purpose of the relationship is to facilitate that happen. That's why you go through a process in psychotherapy, because it's not the case initially. But in time, it can be. That, they will perceive each other as one. And so both the therapist and the patient have healed their mind through that relationship. And that would be the ultimate goal of psychotherapy. I don't think it happens very often, but it can happen. There's no doubt. It can happen. It can produce quite profound results. Think of like a good example. This could be Helen Keller. She had a lady who helped her. She was deaf and blind and very wild. And this, through the love and the compassion of this carer, tutor. She was actually officially a tutor, but she became more than a tutor. She was a teacher, confidant, a friend. I think they really had a very strong bond, and so probably healed both of them. And an extraordinary healing of Helen Keller was because of the devotion of that teacher to healing this child and uniting with her, making her feel like they are one. So that's a good example. So I'm sure there are others where this ideal patient-therapist relationship has happened. Okay. So any other thoughts on this? It's fairly straightforward. It's just saying they're both patient and healer. Psychotherapists need to identify themselves as the Christ, the true self. And they do that in and through the work, psychotherapeutic work in their relationship, which then leads to the healing of both their minds, and they become one self rather than a separate self. Okay. Okay. So any other thoughts or comments or questions on that one?
It's quite straightforward, yeah.
I think it is. It's not. I mean, you can see he's not really saying anything in this supplement that he hasn't said already in the main course.
Mm.
It's just within the context of psychotherapy. Well, given what we understand about the course and that we are one and we share the same self, okay, we'll apply that to the psychotherapeutic domain, and then the patient and the therapist must also be one, and they must both see themselves as the one self, Christ, to be healed. Then there's nothing left to do once they've done that. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments? Should we leave it there for today?
Yeah.
I've still got to book a flight and pack and all kinds of stuff, so need to get going. Try and get a bit of sleep as well. So shall we? Won't be able to do one tomorrow because I'm traveling.
No.
But
Maybe.
Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
Afternoon, evening.
Yeah, that's good.
Possibly, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna arrive in the morning, so if I can get a few hours sleep or meditate or something, then I'll probably
Mm-hmm.
run a session
Okay.
in the afternoon. Yeah. So
I'll
I'll
just look at the
yeah,
on
just
the
look at the group.
Telegram. Yeah, I will do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, have a
Okay.
good journey.
Yeah.
A good journey.
Thanks.
See you in
Thank you,
South
mate.
Africa. Okay. Namaste.
Yeah.
Bye.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that is the wrap for today. Thank you to Elena John for joining, and I'll see you again soon. So if you enjoyed this session and you're not a subscriber, then subscribe to the channel to get some more content like this year. Streaming live 6 days a week, and yeah, also you're welcome to join us for a masterclass coming up this Sunday evening. To find out more about the Ultimate Go course, introductory course for 6 weeks, happening in February and March this year, and then 1-year program to really study A Course in Miracles in depth and get to grips with this powerful teaching, and I guide you through that step by step, day by day. So check it out at vaolg.com. There's a link below in the text box for this video. You could link to it. Go sign up and register for free. And also you can get a Telegram message with an inspirational quote and a daily lesson and breath break, short meditation, and sometimes longer meditations as well, all free if you go to lifefull.com and sign up. So do that. Hope to catch you on the inside, maybe at the masterclass or something soon. Thanks for watching and Happy New Year. See you soon. Namaste. Which means the true self in me, knowledge and honors that same true self, Christ in you.